I'm very disappointed with my performance. It was a lot of movement, a lot of technical work. Nobody wanna take the risk. I know I could do way better than that. That's not my best. I promise next week I'm gonna take 1 week off, just my foot get a little bit swollen down, get back to the gym, training, and get ready for the next one.
You can't predict the future. You can only prepare for it. You know, I did all my preparations. I did everything I had to do. I was seeing everything out there. I landed some pretty dang good shots, and he did get wobbled.
Johnny Walker just broke his silence, and the situation is getting ugly. We are dissecting the total disaster from UFC 327 in Miami. Johnny Walker versus Dominick Reyes was marketed as a high-stakes war between two desperate killers, but what we got was a 15-minute staring contest that forced the Miami crowd to erupt in "this is boring" chants. This wasn't just a bad night. It was a career-killing performance that left Dana White and the matchmakers fuming. Walker just dropped a massive statement on Instagram, and he sounds like a man who knows his back is against the wall. He's admitting he failed. He's admitting he played it safe. Most importantly, he's teasing a jump to the heavyweight division that changes everything. Before we tear into every single sentence of this apology, hit that subscribe button right now. Rumble Blips is the only place for high-speed UFC analysis and the truth behind the corporate curtain. Join the squad and stay ahead of the game. Walker walked into that cage looking like a physical specimen, but he fought like a man terrified of his own shadow. Dominick Reyes was in the same position, fighting for his job after a string of brutal knockouts. This was supposed to be a car crash in the best way possible. Instead, it was a technical nightmare where neither man had the guts to pull the trigger. The split decision went to Reyes, but let's be real. Both guys lost their stock that night. Walker's statement is a rare moment of self-destruction. He didn't blame the travel, the weight cut, or the judges. He blamed his own lack of aggression. He admitted that the technical work at Extreme Couture essentially paralyzed him. He was so worried about being perfect that he forgot how to fight. He kept talking about technical work and movement, but in the octagon, movement without purpose is just running. You can't win a fight at the highest level by circling for 15 minutes and hoping your opponent trips over their own feet. The crowd in Miami is notoriously tough, but they were right to boo. When you pay top dollar for a UFC ticket, you expect two of the most dangerous light heavyweights to actually engage. Instead, they watched a sparring session where no one wanted to get their hair messed up. Walker specifically said nobody want to take the risk, either me or Dominick Reyes. That is a staggering admission for a professional fighter. If you aren't willing to take a risk in the cage, you are in the wrong business. The stakes were high, sure, but the hesitation we saw was on another level. Walker mentioned he was physically and mentally prepared, but the tape tells a different story. He looked frozen. He looked like a guy who has been knocked out one too many times and is now fighting with a don't get hit mentality rather than a go out and win mentality. Right now, Walker is sitting on a record of 8-7. In the UFC, that is the danger zone. He was once the guy we thought would kill John Jones. Now, he's the guy the fans want to see cut. The heavyweight talk is the real story here. Walker is 6'5". Cutting to 205 is a slow death for his chin. If he moves up, he stops draining his brain fluid and might actually be able to take a punch. Imagine a 245-pound Walker who keeps his speed but adds the power of a tank. That is the only way he survives in this organization. He's taking a week off for a swollen foot, but the damage to his reputation is going to take years to fix. He's apologizing to the fans and promising a comeback, but we've heard this before. This performance was a slap in the face to everyone who paid for a ticket in Miami. If he moves to heavyweight, he enters a world of monsters. Is he ready for Aspinall? Is he ready for the power of the big boys? Or is he just running away from the ghosts at light heavyweight? The transition to heavyweight isn't just about eating more and lifting weights. It's about a fundamental shift in how you handle power. At 205, Walker was a giant. At heavyweight, he's just another big guy. He won't have the reach advantage he's used to. He won't be able to bully people with his size. He'll have to rely on his speed and his creativity. The very things that have been missing from his game lately. He mentioned his jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but he hasn't successfully implemented those tools in years. If he goes to heavyweight and tries to out-wrestle a guy like Jailton Almeida, he's in for a rude awakening. He needs to find that spark again. He needs to find the guy who did a worm after winning and almost blew out his own shoulder. That guy was dangerous because he was unpredictable. This new technical Johnny Walker is predictable, and in the UFC, predictable gets you beat. Looking at the stats, Walker's decline is clear. He was on a 3-fight winning streak against Anthony Smith, Paul Craig, and Ion Cutelaba. Those are solid wins, but they didn't propel him into the elite tier. The moment he stepped up against top 5 talent like Ankalaev, he folded. The Reyes fight was supposed to be the bridge back to the top, but instead it became a dead end. Dominick Reyes wasn't even at his best. Reyes was fighting cautiously too, yet he still managed to walk away with the split decision because he did just a fraction more. Walker's foot injury might be the excuse he needs to sit out and really rethink his entire career path. He's 34. He doesn't have another 5 years to figure it out. He needs an immediate impact. The move to heavyweight also brings up the question of his camp. Extreme Couture is one of the best gyms in the world, but is it the right fit for Walker's chaotic style? Sometimes when a wild fighter tries to become too disciplined, they lose the very thing that made them successful. We've seen it happen dozens of times in MMA. They trade their knockout power for a jab that doesn't land and head movement that doesn't save them. Walker's statement about finding the range is a classic example of overthinking. In a fight, range is something you establish through aggression, not something you wait for. By the time he found his range, the fight was over and the judges had already made up their minds. Fans are rightfully frustrated because we know what Walker is capable of. We've seen the flying knees, we've seen the spinning back fists. To see that same man go out and put on a performance that gets boring chants in a city like Miami is heartbreaking for his supporters. Walker's apology on Instagram felt sincere, but in the fight game, apologies don't keep you on the roster, results do. He's promising to do better next time, but next time might be his last chance. If he moves to heavyweight and puts on another performance like this, the UFC will likely hand him his walking papers. The heavyweight division is already crowded with talent, and there's no room for a fighter who is afraid to take risks. Walker needs to look in the mirror and decide who he wants to be. Does he want to be a technical gatekeeper who apologizes after every loss? Or does he want to be the devastating knockout artist that terrified the light heavyweight division? The path to heavyweight is paved with danger. He'll be facing guys who hit twice as hard as Reyes. If his chin couldn't hold up at 205, how is it going to hold up against the 265-pound giants? This is the ultimate gamble. It's a sink or swim moment for one of the most polarizing figures in the sport. The swollen foot will heal in a week, but the pressure of his next walkout will be heavier than any weight class.